Has there been a more polarizing superhero movie than Man of Steel? Zack Snyder's take on Superman seems to divide a lot of people, especially the ending. Where do I stand? I like it, and I think it was a well-done take on the Superman mythos. Even though I have issues with it here and there, I was pleased with the movie, and my appreciation for it has gone up on repeat viewings. Today, I'm going to discuss the ending, and why the main hero is not to blame as much as people think for the destruction. Since I am talking about the final act of Man of Steel, this entire video is filled with spoilers, so keep that in mind if you have not seen the film before. The biggest complaint lobbied against Man of Steel is that Superman completely destroyed Metropolis and Smallville in his fight against Zod and his cronies. However, looking closely at those battle sequences that take up the third act, all blame should go to the villains. It's established through the course of the movie that Clark Kent was taught by his father to suppress his powers and not hurt anybody. So throughout the film, he mainly uses his powers to lift things up. He doesn't throw a single punch or get into fights. Even when he's tormented by bullies, he mostly turns the other cheek. In fact, this is a Superman who is still learning about his powers. He does not even fly until he's a fully grown adult. However, when the imprisoned Kryptonians show up, he's completely unprepared for what they're about to dish out. Admittedly, Superman does throw the first punch that accidentally sends Zod to the middle of Smallville. But after that, Superman is thrown every which way by Zod and his minions. He definitely succeeds in warning the townsfolk, and tries desperately to keep them from harming the military to little avail. This is pretty much one man against three, and he does the best he can. Thankfully, nobody gets injured. All in all, while the IHOP is in shambles and a couple properties were destroyed, it's mainly because of how poor of a fighter Superman is, and all the punches that Zod and company land that unintentionally throw him into destruction. This continues in the big battle over Metropolis. Tell me something. Who would win in a fight? Somebody who has never punched another person in his lifetime, or a general with military experience? With that in mind, Zod realistically has the upper hand in the fight. Through most of the scene, Zod is hitting and throwing Superman through buildings and objects, not the other way around. That's not even taking into account how much destruction his device has been doing to the city. Not a single building falling down in Metropolis is Superman's fault. Superman even takes the fight to outer space at one point to get out of the city and take the battle to safer ground. The only destruction that happens there is a satellite getting destroyed. Yet Zod keeps pushing him down to Earth. As for the people, it's clear that everyone makes it out safe when Zod's machine is doing so much damage. I don't know where people get the idea that the citizens were killed, since we don't see any fatalities. Everybody is seeing what's going on and finds the appropriate place to take cover. How come viewers were so worried about the people of Metropolis, but not the New Yorkers in the Avengers? That, I honestly do not understand. And of course, we also have the much talked about defeat of General Zod. Now, when I saw Man of Steel on opening day, I did not read the reactions beforehand. When the following scene occurred, I simply saw it as Superman defeating the villain and saving the day. Unlike Batman, we don't see him with a no-killing policy throughout the movie. This is even his first day on the job. But in light of the negative reaction to this, I looked at the scene in a different light. And I still don't have a problem with it. This is a Superman still learning about his powers, and I get the sense he just wanted to slightly turn his head the other way, so Zod's laser vision wouldn't hurt the innocent bystanders. However, not quite knowing his own strength, he turns it too hard and ultimately snaps and kills him. In fact, immediately afterwards, we see him scream in agony at the fact that he killed another person, the last remaining Krypton no less. There is a moment of quiet reflection with Lois Lane, where the two don't say a word to each other. We know exactly what he's feeling, and no dialogue is necessary. It's actually not a triumphant, "Yay, the day is saved" moment like I initially thought. It's actually a very sad scene, reflecting that Clark still has a lot to learn about handling his extraordinary powers. One of the last things I want to talk about is the very final scene. One of the things I really liked, in fact loved, about Man of Steel is the depiction of Lois Lane. I've said this before, but it bears repeating that this is my favorite screen version of the character. She's an actual journalist seeking the story, and before they even meet, she knows who he is. While, yes, he is still wearing the glasses of the Daily Planet, Lois knows it's Superman underneath, and that's an interesting aspect of their relationship. Most of the other Superman films and animated series did not really explore. I just love that final knowing glance they give to each other, and it was a perfect way to end the film and made me excited for the sequel. As for the sequel, as is well known at this point, it's now going to be the first big screen pairing of Batman and Superman. I am very excited about this. Now, I am somebody who is a fan of Zack Snyder's take on the character, and I look forward to how he and screenwriters David Goyer and Chris Terrell handle Batman. And Ben Affleck is a wonderful choice to play him. Now, this is a huge movie for Warner Brothers, easily the biggest of the upcoming slate. Zack Snyder and the studio know how important this is to their characters continuing to make big screen appearances, not to mention other DC heroes like Wonder Woman and The Flash. They're going to be under a lot of pressure to create a great movie, and with all the watchful eyes of film viewers and comic fans, I think they're going to create something very special that audiences will hopefully embrace the same way they did the Avengers. In fact, the criticisms of the ending could even play a role in how Batman vs. Superman plays out, with Lex Luthor getting people to rally behind him by saying Superman is to blame for the destruction of Metropolis. It will certainly lead to an interesting dynamic. And unlike Zod, Luthor will be more brains than brawn, especially with Jesse Eisenberg playing him. In the unlikely chance Zack Snyder watches this video, I think you did a good job with Man of Steel, and I think you'll do a great one with Batman vs. Superman. See you next time.